June 23, 2026. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. That's what the chart looked like today. Kind of a carryover from yesterday. There was this huge drop in the overnight. It's like a small bounce, two legs, then another drop, sideways consolidation. Looks like it was two piecemeal legs, then another shallow leg, drop, up, another sideways, drop. And the market still has about an hour left, but I'm going to stop here. I didn't take a trade today. I didn't really see anything I really liked. So I'm just going to go into, there's kind of like a lot of almost setups. And it's either my mental game is just taking it super conservative today, because yesterday was a little reckless, that I didn't really take any trades. There could have been some maybe trades, I guess, if I was a little more aggressive. So going into the setups right now. On the Forex Factory, there was no news to really move the market. And overall, it looks like kind of like an M or sideways, or just this weird, maybe like a snake. Like here's the head and it just kind of wiggles. So I'm not really sure why in the pre-market it dropped over 100 points, but it did. This is drawn after the fact because I'm not trading the pre-market. So I just kind of saw this, just kind of practicing my trend line drawing. It comes all the way down, pushes two legs up, two measured, almost measured legs up. Then it pushes down, break, sideways consolidation. Here, pushes down, and on the open, it starts moving. So it's already below the EMA. So it looks like it's kind of a bearish push down. I was thinking at the time, right before the open, I established that there might be some kind of range here. I actually had it a little higher here. And then when it broke through, when it made this double bottom, then I thought, okay, maybe it's actually slightly lower. But it didn't really set up for any trades that I thought were uh, feasible. So you think this is probably right here, moved. So it creates a new low. It's a first entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short here, but it doesn't really break above. So it's like a first entry short. This is a second entry short here. I saw this and it didn't close quite right because there's too much tail, so I had to leave it alone. Then if you count this as a localized high, because it does, higher highs here. So it could be a first entry long, maybe a visual second entry, but it still says maybe first entry, second entry, but there's really nothing here because it looks like just one leg down. There's a double bottom bounce here. So that's where I established that maybe this range is actually slightly lower. And for a time, it looked like prices were trading inside this range because there was kind of some kind of resistance here. And I thought there's an overshoot here, could create a corresponding overshoot here. So I was actually looking for one leg up, pull back a second leg, but never came up. So this is kind of like obsolete. We'll go ahead and remove it. It's a low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short, really no trade here. I established this uptrend line after this touch confirmation. It's actually slightly moved. I actually had it down here, but then it doesn't fit quite right. So I actually scalped the first candle a little bit because it actually fits really nice here because it's like one touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. High side was a little bit tighter. And it looks like it confirms really well. Unfortunately, there's no clean second entries here. Then it kind of moves sideways. Here's the first break, and I'm watching really carefully for some kind of EMA reaction, but unfortunately, it only gives you a first entry long. By the time the second entry long shows up, it's below the EMA. Maybe there was some kind of support here, but it just feels not fully defined. So I didn't want to take a guess on that. It pushes up. Established this green up channel. Didn't mean to do that. Established this green up channel. Kind of like this. It confirms pretty well, but again, there's no clean setups. Creates a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long. The second entry long is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Creates double top here, so you can say it's a visual first entry. Actually, it is a technical first entry, second entry, but nothing here. Far from the EMA. I didn't really trust the low side of this range here when these candles are printing. Pushes down. Now you may have a triple test here, but you only have a first entry here. Pushes up, pushes down. I established this trend line moving up, but it got violated, and there's these price excursions down here, which made it a little bit hard to trust. So again, I'm just sitting on my hands. Pushes here, and bigger picture, this really only recovered half the entire move, because if you do draw a gigantic range, it's not very helpful. I mean, you could say it's pretty much at the midline at this point, but This range isn't helpful for the fact that there's just too much empty space here. In a higher time frame with more candles printing, maybe over the next few days, prices, if they keep chopping this way, might fill this range. But I had that kind of developed or drawn early on. It's actually slightly higher, but it never really, even right now, doesn't seem that useful. So it hits the high. It looks like it's two legs down, break, and it makes another leg down. So here it's just not clear to me. I had previously tried to make a support line fit somewhere, but it never really had any consistency that I felt like if I kept it on the chart while watching in real time, it would just add some confusion and probably make me interpret something that's not there. I also saw this new low here. It's a first entry short, second entry short. I saw it marked it just because I really wanted this to close lower than I thought it might have been a possible trade, but it's pretty much an almost trade because it also looks like it's just one leg up. This transparent channel doesn't exist yet, so I can't use this as a key entry point. But it was just something I was watching in real time, was getting eager trying to take a trade, but it didn't set up, so I just got to kind of like step back and not do anything. Pushes down, localized low, first entry short, kind of makes a new low, and it keeps doing that the whole way down, just keeps first entries and then with lower lows every time. If it does give you a second entry, the setup isn't very favorable. So it technically is a new low, say first entry, then it makes a new low again. First entry makes a new low. You do have two legs here. You could say it's a second entry short here. By that time, I do have this trend line established, and I drew it as a potential channel, but it's not confirmed because it's what I see in real time. And so this is the signal bar. When I have first entry, second entry, it's still above the EMA. I'm looking for a lower high. The lower high shows up here. By the time this lower high shows up, the bias is going lower, but I was concerned, is there a potential support here? Because it is going down, and at this time in the trading day, you don't know it's going to keep doing that. So it felt too early, too risky to try to take a second entry short lower high right here. But you could say this is a localized swing high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. I call this an almost trade because clearly prices have pushed through and broken this support now. Not just once, but two times. When it broke through one time, broke through the second time. So here, could it break through again? I call it an almost trade because it is a failed second entry long. The problem is when it broke through, this is the first time it broke through. If this candle had a tick lower than here, then it's kind of me showing me subsequent lower lows. But since it came the lowest low, then it actually is slightly higher. Now it gives me a little bit of doubt. There's a little bit of conflicting information, and that kind of doubt makes me unsure of what I'm seeing. So yes, it could push down and continue this big channel down, but again, this channel I don't fully trust because I actually also thought maybe it's slightly tighter, but then I didn't like these two violations here. I ended up establishing it here. And this support could be coming into play. So I call it an almost trade. Then it pushes up, pushes down. You get a localized low. Technically, a first entry short, second entry short. It's a little congested here. Was it in a range? I couldn't tell. I've since deleted this range because it just didn't look like it was spanning very clean. Just to keep my chart a little cleaner, I removed it. But it also was the wrong color, so I left it alone. And I was thinking, in a way, did I dodge a bullet? Because if I entered here, my stop would have been above this double top here. This candle here would have stopped me out. But what stopped me was the color of this candle. Then prices push down. It does finally break out of this channel. And when it was kind of drifting so long outside the channel, I did debate whether I should extend it to here. But then here just looks like there's way too much empty space. So I kind of dragged it back up to here. Nevertheless, I never really trusted this channel in general, so it never got colored in. So then it pushes out, kind of hits a localized low. It never hits this low, so it's just kind of balancing out here in the middle of nowhere, kind of finding some support. I was thinking maybe there's some kind of support here, or excuse me, resistance here and support here, because it looks like it's kind of bottoming out here. No clean setups here. I couldn't really find a clean channel draw. It looked like 3 legs essentially. And it pushes down, reverses back up. I was thinking at the time, this break of this green up channel, could it test the high? And it does, but it wasn't clean enough justification because this EMA is hard to trust right now. It's just it's cutting right through all the price action. Prices are both above and below it. So it's just something I noticed in real time, but there's nothing here. Pushes up. I established this yellow up channel when it was actually tighter like this. When I got this third touch confirmation. So it's actually 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. I saw this. I really wanted this to set up nicer, have at least a touch here. And I did try to fudge it to try to make it touch, but then I have an overshoot here. So I decided to leave it like it was because you have a better touch confirmation, touch confirmation. It was floating in the air, and I just had to pass this up because then if I decided to take the trade, it would have worked, but I think I would have been kind of inventing a reason to go with it. And this big push down does have a breakdown here, and it could be reversing, but that wasn't a clean enough justification. Plus, if this had closed at the high, instead of giving me a small little wick here, it would have strengthened the case. But since it pulled back before the close, and it's kind of floating in the middle of nowhere, I couldn't justify taking the trade because then it would have been taking a hunch trade on a mediocre setup. Now you can well, I think I could pass it as a possible, more aggressive trade if the setup was just a little more perfect. But if I'm adding in a little bit of doubt and then the setup's also a little weak, then I'm definitely just be gambling. And I've done that before, and as I said, it's paid off sometimes, and it's also hurt me sometimes. But that doesn't really build good consistency. So it pushes up to the high side. When it broke out here, since it's breaking out previously, I was thinking maybe I could extend it to here, but then I actually just liked it down here. Treated this as an overshoot, small overshoot, and this is a more decisive overshoot. Pushes down and pushes up. I thought this was like a count reset here. It looks like a visual first entry, second entry long. Unfortunately, again, I wanted an EMA touch here, and since it didn't, it closed with a slight pullback, then it just adds a little bit of, again, ambiguity. So I was looking for a visual first entry, second entry, and then looking for a higher low. Then I probably would have taken the trade as long as there was enough room before hitting this potential resistance. And you get a higher low here, but it's a wrong signal bar color. So I couldn't take that. And it pushes up. Looks like it was 2 clean legs down, but also first leg down, then it was like 2 legs up, then another leg down. So when it did hit here, in real time, I was seeing this and I was thinking, okay, there's some kind of support here. I didn't really establish it as a range just yet. I treated it as a support. It pushes up. And now here I was thinking, oh, it's kind of made a measure move. Is there a potential first entry short, second entry short? But thinking that this could be a range, I was thinking, is it clean enough? Is it good enough? Is it going to push up to this high side still, such that if I took a trade here, I get stopped out? So I was actually looking for a lower high, but this setup wasn't even very high probability because a lower high, if it shows up in the next 2 candles, it's probably going to get pretty close to this support that I was concerned about. But it kind of stopped. It just kind of resolved itself anyways because it never gave me that dilemma of giving me a lower high. But if it did give me a lower high, let's say on this candle, it likely would have closed pretty close to here, and I think that would have nullified the trade anyways. So fail breakout here. It looks like it was 2 clean legs up again. I marked it here because I really wanted this to close as a red candle, but it didn't. Then again, I'm looking for a lower high, and the lower high shows up as a green candle. So nothing there. There's an overshoot here. Looks like it's 2 legs up, pull back, and I saw this as a potential triple test. First touch confirmation, second, third. I mean, you could count maybe 1, 2, but this is still so close, separated by 1 candle. I just counted this as 1, 2, and 3. And I saw this as a lower high to this, and I thought this was actually a possible trade, but I didn't really have the confidence to take it, especially since it was. Now, granted, this isn't the end of the trading day, but the prices were slowing down. And usually around this 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I've been staring at the charts for so long, I start to question whether I'm seeing things correctly. So I'm just extra cautious. But in hindsight, I think there was a potential possible trade here. Lower high of this second entry short, triple test off resistance. push down. So it starts moving down this channel, which I wasn't fully sure of because initially it had it here. It had this really far excursion. It could still maybe be this, but as you can see, with more price action, this doesn't even matter now. It was pushing down, hits a localized low, and it runs into the same problem that I saw previously. It gives you a bunch of first entries, with each second entry being breaking into a new low or just getting really close to potential resistance area or support area. So it's localized low, first entry short. First entry, technically have a second entry, but feels congested here. Could be a small little range. Pushes down, then it's a first entry, and then just had a phone call that came through. Okay, so anyways, as I was saying, it just creates new lower lows each time. There was a new low, first entry short. This is a signal bar for a second entry short, but it's inside to this. So I'm not a big fan of that. But then I see this guy, and unfortunately, at this time, it does have a third touch confirmation of this trend line, which wasn't established as a channel just yet, but it already breaks to make a new low. So unless you took it on the engulfing off a kind of a sketchy setup, then there was really nothing there. But it keeps pushing down, hits to the new low. You have localized low. Technically, by a technical time, you have a first entry short, second entry short, but it looks like more visually as a big one leg up than first entry short. But it makes a new low again. And then here, this is right before I started recording. Looks like it's a new low, first entry short, second entry short, and the second entry short failure, but it also looks like it's just one leg. And you do have a higher low here, but I really didn't really catch this in time. Yeah, and I don't think I like this trade anyways, which is breaks out of this green up channel, starts reversing, looks like it's two legs down. Again, you have a first entry long, second entry long failure, but again, you'd be running into some kind of support here. So that's not the best. And you can't really argue for a second entry short because it's really only a first entry short. And it's kind of pushing, and it's probably about an hour or 30 minutes left of trading, which I'm not going to sit through. So no trades today. So just going to leave it at that. It was, I mean, there was potential for things to set up, but it never really quite got there. So hopefully that was helpful.